Tar Heels are back at home tonight against Notre Dame, where we might just see some defensive wrinkles.
This is David Noel, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You join me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network out there. Thanks so much for making us your first listener watch this Wednesday. And I want to welcome in all the everydayers, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and our insiders as well. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel, baby. There's great college basketball action going on tonight. Get in on all those lines. Check it out every single day of the week. Coming up on the show today, Tar Heels back at it, trying to snap this two-game losing skid that they're on. We're going to talk about avoiding the snowball effect, and that's got to start on the defensive end of the floor. Please, dear goodness. We'll get to our Four Corners preview that will include talking about same starting five. We had a brand new one on Saturday, and attacking the paint. We'll get to know Notre Dame's personnel, including their unlucky misfortune of being without Markus Burton. We'll look at that. We'll make predictions on the game. And so it's going to be a great show, opportunity to really get back in it, but we'll see what happens against this Notre Dame team. By the way, don't miss out tonight. Live postcast, as always, right after the game. We'll give it a little bit of space, but then we'll pick right up with that. That link should already be out if you want to check in on it and lock in and be ready to come hang out and hopefully party and not have a third straight therapy session. Ooh, gross. No, thank you. Also, I apologize. For those of you watching, you notice this. If you're listening, you don't know. I just realized that I'm wearing like a green pullover. Maybe it's a reverse jinx against Notre Dame, but I hope I haven't done things poorly. I should also mention my preacher, who lives literally right across the street from me, is a big Notre Dame fan. So that might not be in our favor this evening. I might need to put like a jinx on his house or something like that. All right, here's where things are at. Carolina has lost 2 games in a row, both out in California, and they've lost 3 out of 4 if you go back to the SMU game, the lone win there being the Wake Forest win at home in between all that. So what needs to happen now is you can't let what was 1 loss that turned into 2 out in California now turn into 3 straight. You cannot allow what we call the snowball effect, where you just get into this funk and it keeps building and building and building. Yes, things have been not great even beyond those 2 losses, but you just simply can't allow it to tumble even worse. So that's where things sit. You can't allow an 0-2 California stretch to turn into 0-3. Can't allow these first 4 poor performances of 2026 to turn into a 5th straight poor performance. And for me, and for you, and for all of us, we recognize that where does that have to start? On the defensive end of the floor, where, by the way, we might see some changes on the ACC coaches call this week. Here's what Coach Davis had to say. He hinted that we might see some defensive changes tonight. He said, quote, "I feel like it's good for us from a defensive standpoint, taking a look at changing or adjusting some things to put us in better position to get stops." End quote. To which I say, you think? Like, undoubtedly, you have to make changes to put yourself in position to get stops. 1 stop, because you've been getting no stops. That's where Carolina's at right now. That's the situation. And obviously, I'm being a bit hyperbolic there, but this team has to figure something out. And at this point, it's like, what do you have to lose by just trying other things, putting in some wrinkles, making stuff happen to see what can come? One such wrinkle that I would love to see tonight, that I thought helped specifically on Saturday, was the pressure that Carolina utilized, that kind of 1-2-2 pressure that we saw full court a lot, because season long, Carolina doesn't force a lot of turnovers, doesn't grab a lot of steals, more content to play no middles and slow teams down that way. But Saturday against Cal, in desperation mode, if we're being honest, though, Carolina utilized all of that to pick up 10 steals against the Golden Bears. might they be able to do that consistently throughout the course of the season if they're not going to be able to guard well in half court to minimize the number of possessions they have to play half court defense? Now, they might find their way back to better half court defense, but right now, I'm not convinced we're going to see that. So how do you mitigate that? How do you minimize it? By utilizing more pressure. Means you might get beat sometimes, but so be it if it helps what you're doing overall. But specifically, a reason to continue to look at continuing to employ it tonight against Notre Dame is because turnovers are a bugaboo for the Irish. Right now, they average 12.2 turnovers a game, which is third worst in the ACC. Jalen Haralson, who leads them in assists with 2.4. Yes, their assist leader gets 2.4 a game. I'll say more about why in a second. But he commits 2.9 turnovers a game, does Jalen Haralson. He has at least one turnover in every game. He has at least two turnovers in every game since Markus Burton went down. Again, I'll say more about that in a second. In his last 6 games, here's Haralson's turnover numbers: 6, 8, 2, 2, 5, and 3. Carolina needs to attack him. Seth, he's 6'7", he's a bigger guy, but Seth Trimble needs to make him uncomfortable. Whoever it is that's on him, I don't care whether it's Seth or Jarin, Jonathan Powell, get after Jalen Haralson. Trap him, do whatever you got to do. He's a freshman, make him make bad decisions. That's what you got to see. So that's one specific way that I would like to see some defensive wrinkles and changes tonight. But you start speculating, what else might Hubert Davis have meant? I think the most obvious one would be different ball screen coverage. That's allowing Carolina to recover better, to stop allowing some pick and pops, so whatever it is. I wouldn't be shocked if that's part of what we see tonight. Maybe it's less switching. That could be a third thing to mention here, is that Carolina did less of that on Saturday against Cal, still got burned a bit, but maybe that's part of the answer as well. What I do not want to see defensive wrinkle is Carolina utilize much 2-3 zone. They tried that Saturday, kind of again out of desperation, and it did not go well. It did not go well. The 1-2-2 extended pressure, absolutely. Let's see that. But don't give me that half court 2-3 look. It did just not good. And at the end, here's another thing with the defensive wrinkles as well. Schematically, whatever. The perhaps biggest thing is that I just want to see effort and intensity. I want to see more communication. I want to see the team looking more connected. Watch tonight how the fellas communicate during screening action. How are they passing off to one another? How are they deciding, communicating well, when to switch, when to not, when to stay, all of that. Watch it. Watch the body language, all of those things. Don't overhelp. Don't over recover. Stay with your man so that your teammates don't have to, like, all of that needs to be in effect tonight. And I referenced it. Now let's say it. Carolina's catching a bit of a break here. It's been a break we've known about for a while, but you probably haven't been locked in on Notre Dame. Markus Burton, their leading scorer, has been out since December 5th, an injury suffered against TCU about halfway through the first half of that game. It stinks because Markus Burton's phenomenal. Preseason ACC first team, such a good scorer, just a little buddy, would have given this Carolina team absolute fits, right? Because that's exactly who the Tar Heels have struggled with this year. But poor guy just came down weird from making a jump shot, had a weird left leg thing, tried to get up and keep back going and just fell, and he couldn't. Had to have surgery. He was at 18 and a half a game at that point, but he's been out. He's going to be out. So the question is, who's pitching in? Well, I mentioned Jalen Haralson, the freshman. Now, he's very good. He was ranked 18th in the 2025 class. He's a great player, but he's had to take on more than expected because of Burton's absence. He's taken over the main scoring duties, though. He's got 14.7 points on the season, but that's grown to 16.1 in Burton's absence. And in Burton's absence, he scored 17 plus points in 6 of those 9 games, 20 or more in 3 of those 9. So, right, like that is the main guy you have to focus on tonight. But there's others as well. Braeden Shrewsberry, you might be familiar with. He's the coach's son, a deadly 3-point shooter. He's the 3rd leading scorer on this team, but 2nd without Burton's presence. So he's somebody else to stay locked in on tonight as well. All that said, this tonight is an opportunity for a get-right game for the Tar Heels. Now, I don't know with the way they've been playing if there is such a thing as a get-right game right now, because there is no such thing as a sure thing for the Tar Heels right now. But as much as you could have one, the way things have gone the last 4 games, tonight is that opportunity. Lock in, be connected, go to work defensively, and let's shut down the Irish. All right, we got to get to our Four Corners preview. And Derek Dixon started for the first time in his Carolina career on Saturday. And despite the loss to Cal, I say go back to the well on that one. That and the rest of the Four Corners preview coming up in just a second. We're in the heart of college basketball season, and FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action all the time. Because, man, right now there is always great action going on in the app. You could look at games. This game tonight, Carolina favored by 11.5 against Notre Dame. The way the Tar Heels have been playing, that might seem a bit steep, but we'll see. I don't know. I'll let you know my prediction later in the show. So you could get those game odds. You could go props on all sorts of different stuff. You could look at that, get some Caleb Wilson numbers. You could look at the conference odds. Carolina has fallen way off. Caleb Wilson is still high in the Wooden Award odds. All sorts of great opportunities to check out now at FanDuel. Maybe you want to take a shot at some underdogs or whatever it is. Get to it right now with FanDuel, which is the best place to get in on college basketball all season long. FanDuel, go check it out right now. Thanks for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listener watch of the day and making the Locked On Network the #1 sports podcast network out there. If you want to go even further in depth with this thing, man, check out the brand new Everydayers Club, an opportunity to go even more in depth with Locked On Tar Heels, Locked On College Basketball, whatever show it is, man, there's great opportunities for all of them with this brand new Everydayers Club, including ad-free episodes. If you are tired of hearing me mumble and go through all the rest, not mumble, but you know what I mean, go check it out. That link's in the show notes, lockedontarheels.supercast.com. All right, Four Corners preview. Let's get after it. Number 1, will we see the same brand new starting lineup that we saw Saturday? Coach Davis has tinkered each of the last couple games. A couple games ago, keeping everything the same, but taking Luka Bogavac out, reinserting Jarin Stevenson. On Saturday against Cal, he stuck with that with Trimble, Stevenson, Wilson, Veesaar, but he took out Kyan Evans for the first time and inserted Derek Dixon for his first career start as a Tar Heel as the starting point guard. This is something a lot of people have wanted to see. I've wanted, hey, let's try it out. Let's see what happens. And for my money's worth, I thought Derek Dixon did a solid job. He didn't overwhelm you with like 8 assists and 1 turnover. He did tie his career high in scoring, hit multiple threes, and the moment didn't seem too big for him. Speaking of being too big, he's a big guard, and that helps as well. He's 6'5". That helps Carolina be even. So now in your starting lineup, Seth Trimble is 6'3". And the other 4 are 6'5", 6'10", 6'10", and 7 foot. That's what Carolina's rolling out there to start a game. And so that's a massive opportunity. For my money's worth, I know that Carolina lost to Cal with Derek Dixon starting. But think of it, if you've had a rookie quarterback, for example, that's been learning from a veteran throughout the season, and now's the time you start your rookie quarterback, and Peyton Manning goes out for his first game and throws however many interceptions it was. You don't suddenly pull him and not roll him back out the next Sunday. No, he is your franchise quarterback. You try it. Back to Carolina, Derek Dixon seems like he can be the guy for Carolina, both short and long term. And so it was a fine game Saturday, but you got to go back to the well immediately. So I say go right back to Derek Dixon, give him that chance. Let's see how Carolina responds in game 2 with Dixon manning the helm. The other question along with that is, how does Kyan Evans respond? Because he did not have a great game on Saturday in 10 minutes. Multiple turnovers, didn't score, etc. I'd love to see Kyan respond really, really well to this. There is capability that he brings to this team. There is opportunity. And for whatever reason, it has not come to fruition. I'd love to see him rise to the occasion here. So I'll keep my eye on that as well. But that's number 1. Number 2, Notre Dame doesn't share the ball well, and they cough it up. In fact, this team averages more turnovers a game than assists per game. We've already mentioned the turnovers and talking about Carolina's defense and trying to use some pressure to force these turnovers. So, as a reminder, Notre Dame 12.2 turnovers a game. That's third worst in the ACC, but their assists are lower than that, 11.9 assists per game, which is 322nd nationally and next to last, 17th in the ACC. Unfortunately for the Irish, Markus Burton was the leading assist man at 3.7. And so now, as we mentioned earlier, Jalen Haralson leads the team in assists at 2.4. You hearing that? Nobody on this team, this Notre Dame team that's active anyway, averages more than 2.4 assists per game. Nobody is even above 2 other than Haralson. So for me, I already mentioned it with the defense, but don't help. Don't let them suddenly find one another. Force them to continue to try to play one-on-one and beat the Tar Heels. And if you're the Tar Heels, you got to defend that really, really, really well. Stay in front of your man. Don't let him get there. And other guys, stay connected. Don't help off. Don't allow those kick out threes or whatever it is. Continue to force Notre Dame to both cough up the ball and not share it well. Four Corners preview point number 3. A potential big issue, and it comes back to defense again. Notre Dame makes 36.2% of their three-point shots, which is 5th in the ACC. So that's potentially scary because you know that in every ACC game this season, Carolina has given up 12 or more threes, which has never happened, at least as far back as I've been able to go research-wise. So you can imagine then that 6 of them has not happened either. And the issue with Notre Dame, I said they shoot 36.2% on the season from 3, but you don't know which Notre Dame shooters are going to show up in any given night. They're extremely streaky. Here's what I mean. It's not a consistent 36%. It's way above it some nights and way below it other nights, all culminating in an average of 36%. For example, here is their three-point percentage in each of the last 8 games, the 8 games they've played since Markus Burton went down. 64.3%. Oh my, that's not good. 56%, also not good. 25.9%, we'll take that. 18.8%, we'll definitely take that. 35.5%, right about their average. 42.9, above it, rather not see that. But then their last 2 games, 30.4 and 25%. So they can get blistering hot from beyond the arc, which the way things have gone seem like they're almost guaranteed to do. Or they could be ice cold. Carolina needs to be committed to making it be the ice cold version. Part of the issue is that Braeden Shrewsberry, Coach Shrewsberry's son, leads the ACC in three-point shooting at 42.7% on a team high 6.5 three-point attempts per game. You cannot let him get unglued. Somebody's got to be on him, force him to be outside the arc, force him inside it. Don't let him get going from 3. And Notre Dame averages 8.6 threes a game. They have made double-digit threes in 6 of their 18 games, which is a third of their games, but have only done it once in the last 6. So could this be an opportunity for Carolina to break this crazy streak of allowing double-digit threes? It could be. We'll see. I will reserve judgment to see till after the game tonight. Four Corners preview point number 4. Carolina must not only play through Henri, Veesaar, and Caleb Wilson, but must attack the paint, whether through, as Coach Davis would say, pass or penetration. Pass it in to Wilson, Veesaar, let them run the team. In a game like against a team like Notre Dame, that could be an opportunity to just get a lot of post-ups. I would imagine that Notre Dame is going to double because they don't have much size. So these guys got to be ready to either move quick and score over Notre Dame or get the ball moving quick, kick it out, get it around the perimeter, get Notre Dame in rotation, and either attack closeouts or find wide open threes from the right shooters. That's what I want to see. Notre Dame has been going small, almost somewhat out of necessity. We'll talk about their starting lineups and personnel here in the third segment. But in their last game, here was the size of their starting lineup. 6'4", 6'4", 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". They did not start a player taller than 6'8". Carolina starts 3 players taller than 6'8". And so a massive opportunity. And unfortunately for no, look, I hate injuries to players, even opposing players. And I know we're not going to make any apologies for that, but it still stinks. You know what I mean? So not only is Markus Burton out, but they just announced after their last game, a loss, that 6'10 Bogavac is out for the season with an injury following Saturday's loss in Blacksburg. So Keba's injury leaves just Brady Kohler and Garrett Sundra as the only players 6'10 or bigger in the rotation. But as you just heard me say, neither of those guys started Saturday. Usually Sundra starts, but he didn't Saturday. So I'm curious to see if he's back right into the starting lineup tonight, or if Notre Dame's going to start small, try to wreak havoc, maybe bring him off the bench. I don't know. We shall see. And like one of the, I'm talking about attacking the paint. One of the things that Coach Shrewsberry said after the loss at Virginia Tech over the weekend is that's how the Hokies beat us, man. They were aggressive. They attacked. They killed us in points in the paint. There's your recipe. All night long, Tar Heels, get in there. However, one of the interesting things, one of the ways Carolina has made some hay this year is by getting on the offensive glass, getting a bunch of putbacks, leading second chance points. But one of the things you got to know is that despite being smaller with their personnel, the Irish simply just don't allow offensive rebounds. They allow 8.4 per game, fewest in the ACC, eighth fewest in all of Division I, but second fewest in all of Division I amongst power conference teams. So you cannot rely on getting second chance points. I mean, you still got to attack the offensive glass, but just know that Notre Dame is working at shutting that down. Fifth lowest offensive rebound percentage allowed in the nation. So there you go. Carolina got to play big, got to attack while recognizing that they might not be able to get to the offensive glass as much as they typically like to do so. All right, you guys, Carolina has lost 3 of 4. Notre Dame has lost 4 straight and 5 of 6. Someone's got to win this basketball game. Any takers? Anybody out there want to win? I would love to see the Tar Heels win. So we'll get to know the personnel for the Irish, how their season is going. Plus, I'll make a game prediction to wrap it all up. Coming up in just a second. Right, here we go. Let's get prepped for this game. Carolina hosting Notre Dame tonight, Wednesday, January 21st, inside the Dean E. Smith Center, 7 p.m. tip. Thank goodness. This game will be on ESPN2. Hopefully, unlike Saturday. Well, I guess the good news is there's no games before it since it's an earlier tip. So guaranteed to start as the game starts. I already mentioned it, but FanDuel has it Carolina by 11.5. That is a bigger line than you will find at KenPom and Torvik, where the Tar Heels are favored by 9. Interesting difference there between the betting markets and the computer algorithm. So we'll see what happens. All-time series record. Carolina leads 32-9. The Heels have won 5 straight and 14 of the last 16. It doesn't feel like Carolina was that dominant against the Mike Bray era, but good grief, they were. And so anyway, Micah Shrewsberry, though, this is now his 3rd season in South Bend. He's unfortunately yet to have a winning record either in both conference play and overall. And so that's tough. This felt like a year for me where they were going to maybe do that. But unfortunately with Burton out, that's kind of fallen apart a little bit. You hate to see it. Notre Dame obviously not ranked in the AP poll. They were picked 10th in the ACC preseason poll. Right now they're 78th in the net. So at home, that's going to make this a quad 3 game. They're 75th at KenPom, 87th at Torvik. Their offense is 108 at KenPom, 117 at Torvik. The defense is 55 at KenPom, 72 at Torvik. So we will see what happens there. Overall, Notre Dame 10-8 on the season, 1-4 in ACC play. Their best non-con wins were hosting Missouri and then at TCU. Their lone ACC win is at Stanford, 47-40. Ooh, yuck, gross, but hey, you know what? It was something the Tar Heels couldn't do, so kudos to Notre Dame. Non-con, 1 bad loss and 3 understandable losses. They lost to Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne. And then also they lost to Ohio State, Kansas, and Houston. Again, all of which are totally understandable. Carolina nearly lost to Ohio State themselves, obviously beat Kansas and hasn't played Houston. In the ACC, their 4 losses are at Cal, against Clemson, who just lost to NC State last night at home. Dang. Lost to Miami, and then lost at Virginia Tech, which we've talked about as well. We always talk about starters, and I usually term it usual starters, but there is no such thing as usual starters for this Notre Dame team, who have used now 6 different starting lineups on the season, including, just like the Tar Heels, a brand new starting lineup on Saturday. So that starting lineup, I'll tell you who that was on Saturday, and we'll see what the personnel looks like tonight. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if we see Garrett Sundra right back into the starting lineup because of Carolina's size, but he did not start Saturday. Again, they went small. So starting at point guard, Logan Imes, he's a 6'4" junior. Braeden Shrewsberry, Coach Micah Shrewsberry's son, a 6'4" junior. He's the one, again, that you got to not let get going from beyond the arc. He's one of 2 players to start every game this season. Then Jalen Haralson, the ultimate freshman we've been talking about, starts at the 3, 6'7", 225-pound freshman. So we'll see how Carolina defends that. I'm guessing that Seth Trimble will probably be on Shrewsberry. And then that means that likely we will see Jarin Stevenson on Haralson. That'll be an interesting matchup. That could actually go really well for the Tar Heels. I kind of like that. Sir Muhammad is the starter at power forward. If that sounds familiar, he is Nazr Muhammad's son. Basketball fans from the 90s will remember Nazr Muhammad. He's a 6'6" sophomore. And then starting Saturday at the 5 was Carson Tout. He's usually the starting 4. He's a 6'8" senior. He's one of the 2 players, along with Shrewsberry, to start every game. But he is their leading rebounder, 9.9 rebounds a game for Mr. Tout. No one else on this team, though, has more than 3.5 boards a game. That is kind of crazy. So Carolina should be able to dominate the class, at least defensively here. Again, you might remember I said that Notre Dame just simply does not allow offensive rebounds. As for the depth, I already mentioned it, but Garrett Sundra usually starts. He didn't last game. They might need him in the interior. He's 6'11", as well as Brady Kohler, who's a 6'10" forward. I would imagine we'll see him. And then Cole Serta plays a lot as well, about 20-something minutes a game. He's 6'5", coming off the bench. As I look at this game, I know FanDuel has Carolina by 11.5, but right now I am very gun shy on wanting to take the Tar Heels to cover anything. I do think Carolina gets back in the win column tonight, but right now I don't feel good about any sort of runaway or big win or double-digit win or anything with that. So I'm going to go 85-80. Carolina wins, but doesn't cover that spread. Again, something's got to give here because both these teams enter on multi-game losing streaks. So somebody's going to get back in the win column. Again, I'm going with the Tar Heels. You guys, thanks so much for being with me. Again, we will be live tonight. As always, would love to have you tap in with us live postcast after the game on YouTube. If you're listening, obviously it'll go out to the audio version later, but we'd love to have you join us live on the video version as well. Speaking of which, if you haven't subscribed to the show on both YouTube and audio, love for you to do that so you know anytime Carolina's Locked on Tar Heels stuff is coming out, including hitting the bell notification on YouTube, because that's how you'll get those push notifications. If you haven't joined the brand new Everydayers Club, we'd love to see you there. That link's in the show notes, as is the link for the Locked on Tar Heels Discord. Come hang out with us there as well. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tonight after the game, hopefully a win. But until then, peace.